All right, folks. Hi there. Welcome to week 4. It's just going to be me and my lonesome today. If you're watching this recording later on, today we wanted to run over the tune. We'll probably go top to bottom, maybe stopping in between to talk a little bit, and then I wanted to talk about how to bump the beginner arrangements, start to get into the challenges that are happening into the intermediate. Really, it's just a little alteration in the riff. We change it slightly, and then I want to say that's it. Do we do anything rhythm-wise? Let me double check here. Oh yeah, and then we introduce a right-handed mute to see. Wait, muted now? Oh, that's in the meeting. Never mind. I've got levels for my recording. Yeah, and then we introduce a right-handed mute, or a chunk sometimes it's called, into our main rhythm. And that's really it. Again, most of the structure is the same. No alterations in the left hand. We're pretty much playing all of the same chord shapes other than the E7. That's really the only chord that we're going to change. So we'll go over a little bit of those today, but today is really just about pushing up from that beginner into the intermediate. Hey guys, I'm recording. All right, so let's take it from the top. We'll just run through the tune one time here. Remember, our chord shapes are going to be D, D and A, moving into F sharp minor, and then E7. 1, 2, 0, 2. Why don't we start with a little warm up, just moving through that. 2, 3, 4. D, 2. Ready, switch A. Here we go. 2. Ready, here's F sharp minor. 2. Ready, E7. And let's remind ourselves of the rhythm. Sounds like 1, 2, up, up, down, up. Remember, our switch is coming on D. We switch to A, right? F sharp and E7. And then F sharp, E7. So now let's check out our intro riff. Remember, we're playing down, up, down, up, down, F sharp, switch E7, and down, right? We're slightly changing our rhythm on that second rotation, but other than that, we're really just playing extra beat in the middle here in order to make our melody happen. 1, 2, 1, up, down, F sharp, down, up, and ending on a down strum there before we recycle. 2, 3, 4. F sharp, E7, and down. F sharp, E7, and down. And then we switch into the verse. You got a fast car. Now remember that intro verse we're going to play 4 times. So let's go ahead and move into running through the tune. Cool? I'll kind of give half of this. We'll play through to the chorus, and then we'll take a little break just so we can all see everything that's going on, and I'll scroll down. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and our riff 4 times. Strum 2, down, up, down, F sharp to E7, and F sharp, E7, and down. F sharp, E7, and last time. There's our riff. Now we're going to go into our verse. You've got a fast car. I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from 0, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. Into our riff. And then F sharp to E7. 2 times through. Verse 2, here we go. You've got a fast car. I got a plan to get us out of here. Working at the convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far. Just across the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs and finally see what it means to be living. Into the riff, right? here's our verse. Now a man's got a problem. Live with the bottle, that's the way it is. D said his body's for working. His body's too young to look like his. So mama went off and left him. She wanted more from life than he could give. Somebody's gotta take care of him. So I asked what's cool, and that's what I did. To our riff. Verse. This half. You got a fast car. Is it fast enough so we could fly away? Gotta make a decision. Will I live and die this way? To our riff. 2 times. F sharp. E said, remember when we were driving in your car? Speed so fast, felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us, and your arm felt right down my shoulder. Feeling that I belong. Had a feeling I could be someone. Into our riff. One more time, and then we'll go into our next verse, verse 4. Just want to take a little break here. So it can be a little tricky moving from that first section. Well, actually, the riff section can be tricky moving from that riff section into a new section, right? The verse or the chorus. So remember, in that transfer, you want to practice that transition as many times as you can so it just doesn't feel like a surprise. Oftentimes we are playing and suddenly we're like, oh, what's next? I can't remember. But if you transition from moving from the riff into the verse, or moving from the riff into the chorus, or moving from the verse into the riff, or the chorus into the riff, all of those transitions, if you practice them, then they won't feel surprising. They won't feel like, oh, I'm not sure what I was supposed to do, or they won't feel like a jarring kind of experience. So make sure that you can feel that transfer, and you're consistently making that change without tripping yourself up too much. Cool. So let's get into. I just want to make sure that backtrack worked. Did that backtrack work? Yeah, I think so. Okay, let's give it a run from that verse 4, and then we'll try and take it to the end of the tune. Remember, the only thing you got to pay attention to is that the last riff, you're only going to play 3.5 times. So you play once, twice, and on the third time, once, twice, third time, and then on the fourth time, you're actually just going to play the intro. Right? That A, D, da, da, 1, 2, 1, up on the A chord, the first half of our riff. Cool? All right, let's give it a try from verse 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, here we go. You got a fast car, we go cruising and entertain ourselves. You still ain't got a job, you'll find work and I'll get promoted. We'll move out better. I messed that up. Let's give it a try from the top. 2, 3, 4. You got a fast car, we go cruising and entertain ourselves. Still ain't got a job, so I work in the market as a checkout girl. No things will get better. We'll find work and I'll get promoted. Move out of the shelter, buy a bigger house and live in the suburb. To the riff. Remember, from this riff, we're going straight into a chorus. So before we were kind of moving through verses 1, 2, and then we kind of get to that half verse. Here what we do is we go straight from verse into chorus, and it's going to happen again after verse 5, so pay attention to that. So let's try one more rotation of that riff. We're playing the last time. 2, 3, 4 to F sharp and E7. Remember when you were driving fast, felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us, but your arm felt nice right my shoulder. I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone, be someone, be someone. Riff. And remember, we're going from this riff into verse 5. You got a fast car. I got a job that pays all our bills. Stayed out drinking late at the bar. See more of your friends than you do of your kids. Always hope for better. Thought maybe together you and me would find it. Got no plans, ain't going nowhere. Take your fast car and keep on driving. To the riff, straight into the final chorus. Chorus 3. Here we go. Riff into chorus 3. So remember when we were driving in your car. Speed so fast, felt like I was drunk. City lights laid out before us, and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. And I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be someone. D, E7, and then into the riff. F sharp, E7. You got a fast car. Last one, is it fast enough so we could fly away? Still gotta make a decision. Leave tonight or live and die this way. To the riff and out. Remember, we play it 3 times. Normal. Maybe we can slow down a little bit here on the second half. And there, we do our half riff to finish the tune. Cool. Yeah. Again, if that's the first time you've kind of played through the entire thing, congratulations. But hopefully we've, started to get a little bit further when it comes to the overall map of the tune, starting to add the lyrics and starting to add, memorize some of the lyrics as well. I know that this is sort of a book if you're going to memorize the entire thing, but remember, getting these lyrics down is just like anything else. It's just repetition, right? Okay, cool. Let's get into some of the intermediate stuff that I wanted to cover today. First thing we want to talk about is a different way to play E. So 1, 2, 0, 2. This is a great way to play an E in the first position, and a lot of times for beginners, this is the best way to get their fingers around an E. An actual full figured E, let's take our middle finger and start on the 4th fret here. 4th fret on the G string. Now you just stack your fingers underneath each other. Think about the way you play a D chord, 2, 2, 2, 0, right? And middle, pointer, middle, and then ring. Really, we're just kind of doing the same thing, except now we're stacking with our ring finger and our pinky underneath our middle. So if I shift that up to the 4th fret, and then I put my pointer finger down on the 2nd fret, it's kind of a tough way to play an E chord, but I really love this chord, and one of my favorite ways to play it is to open the E string up. So you can play 4, 4, 0, 2, and you can play 4, 4, 4, and 2. Now, really, what changes in the riff is the hardest part about playing the riff in the intermediate way is this. This chord here, 4, 4, 4, 2. That's just a tough chord to play, and one that you really want to get into your rotation, into your repetition, right? So you can move from E7, just practice switching into that chord shape. And again, if it feels awkward and uncomfortable, you could always go to the easier version, which is 4, 4, 0, 2. Now, the best way to get that kind of into your body is to start to just replace that E chord wherever you see it with, or that E7 chord with this E chord everywhere you see it. So you replace 1, 2, 0, 2 in the tune, and you place it to 4, 4, 0, 2, or 4, 4, 4, 2, just to get your, your fingers kind of around it. So you got a fast car, F sharp, dun, 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 into 4, 4, 0, 2, or 4, 4, 4, and 2. Now, we're going to talk specifically about how to play the riff section. That's where I want to kind of spend the bulk of our learning today. and we're just going to use this chord shape, and we're going to kind of switch between it. So we're going to play 4, 4, 4, and 2, and then lift up 4, 4, 0, and 2, right? So the second half of this rotation sounds like this. See what I'm doing there? I'm playing the F sharp. Normally I would just play the E7 like that, but what we're doing now is we're switching into this 4, 4, 4, 2 chord. And now I'm changing to get that open E string by lifting my pinky on the last down strum. But the rhythm is the same, right? Down, down, up, up, down. Now when I switch to that 4, 4, 2 chord, I'm doing an up strum, and then an up strum with it on, and then down strum with it off, right? So it's F sharp minor, up strum with it on, and then take it off. Down, down, up, and off. Down, down, up, and off. Down, down, up, and off. Now there's a really tricky change, right? 2, 1, 2, and 0, switching to 4, 4, 4, and 2. Now, one way I like to think about that connection is try to leave your middle finger connected to the G string. So I go from here, and then I slide my middle finger up to the 4th fret, and then I'll start to stack those fingers up underneath, right? Try some whole notes, 2, 3, 4. F sharp, slide the middle finger up into 4, 4, 0, 2. Slide it up. Now remember, you can do the same thing even if you don't put your pinky down, and you can make a little bit easier of a jump, right? You can go F sharp minor, and then 4, 4, and then 0 and 2. See how my pinky's missing? It's a great substitution for the chord, a really, really pretty open voicing. You can always use that if you're having trouble jumping into that chord. Cool? All right, let's see if we can try it with the rhythm. Remember, 1, 2, up, up, down. Nice and slow. 2, ready, here we go. F sharp, and up with 4 on, and down strum with 4 off. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, last time, here we go. All right, so that's our second half, and I think it's a harder position to be in. So if you are in, it's a harder move to make because of that chord shape, because that's probably unfamiliar to everybody. So make sure, when you are practicing this, that you're getting a lot of specific. Sorry, I just reframed this and it does not look good. Make sure you're getting a lot of specific practice with the left hand and making that transition. All right, let's alter the very beginning of this. So instead of playing this, so really what we're going to do is we're going to move that 1 to 2, but we're going to do it inside of a D chord this time. So what we want to do is this. See how I did that? So really this is a D chord, 2, 2, 2, 0, with my starting note C sharp. It's really an F sharp minor, but we're kind of taking this F sharp minor and we're shoving our pointer finger a little bit higher on the fretboard. See how I did that? See, on my up strum, I move from 1, 2. So now what happens is I play 1, 2, 1 inside of the D chord. And now when I switch to the A chord on an up strum, it gives it a little bit more of a strong voicing. 1, 2, 1, off. 1, 2, 1, and then up strum on an A, finish the rhythm. 1, 2, 1, off. Just taking this F sharp minor and pushing my pointer finger up into the 2nd fret, back down to the 1st fret, and then off with the ring finger. 1, 2, 1, off. 1, 2, 1, off. Last time. 1, 2, 1, off. Now from here we go back to the F sharp by putting our ring finger down, and then we practice that move that we switched. Cool? See if we can give that first half a try. 2, 3, 4, down, up, down, up. Let's do it again. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, off. 1, 2, 1, A. Last time. 1, 2, 1, A. Now let's switch to the F sharp minor. Down, 4, 4, 4, 2, and then off with the pinky. Let's try again. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 1, A chord, F sharp, 4, 4, 2, and then pick up the pinky. Nicely done. 2, 3, last time, and 1, 2, 1, off. sharp, shift 4, and then off for that chord. So that's the main difference for the intermediate version of the riff. You can hear it's very similar sounding, but what we've done is we've made the chord a little bit more challenging to reflect the actual harmony of D. That's the problem with the beginner arrangement is that it kind of stays in A the whole time, so we're not being as true as we can be to the chord. So give it a shot, see if you want to challenge yourself with that. Really, it's learning how to take an F sharp minor, pushing the pointer finger up and then back, and then from there it's actually mostly the same up until you get to that E chord. The way you phrase that E chord, you can think of it as a challenge. You can always just go to E7 and try the first half. I really like when we learn a new section and we feel kind of how modular it is. It's like, oh, I want to take this part of it. Maybe I'll just do the first half, or maybe I'll just do the second half working on that new shape of E. So pick your challenge, and yeah, if you're up for it, go for it. Okay, so the main thing we want to talk about is how to change the rhythm, and really the only thing that we're doing to change the rhythm in this tune is adding a new technique, which is called a right hand mute. Some people call it a chunk. Other people call it yeah, I don't specifically like that terminology, because for me, when you hear those terms, a lot of times they're just not that reflective of what the technique is. For me, a right-handed mute is really specific because you're using right hand to make this percussive effect across the strings. So let's just start with like kind of dialing in, what is actually happening. What's happening here is as I'm strumming across the strings, my right hand, the palm, kind of this portion, right, all the way through the palm of my hand, and it's the heel of my palm, right? Heel of my palm kind of coming up into my thumb. As I strum across, that portion of my hand is coming across the strings and just sort of settling on them. Now, this is not muting the strings and then strumming, but that's actually technically what happens right at the moment. But what gives this technique a little bit of weight, you can kind of feel the heaviness of this weight, is that you're treating it like a regular strum, right? If I come across the strings with the weight of my hand as I snap, then what happens is I get a little heavier sound, a little bit more bass to that sound, rather than just covering the strings and sort of this sound, right? The big key here is that you really want this to not be that wild and stand out from your normal strumming technique. You want to think of it as just a down strum in a little bit of a different direction, right? Okay, so let's break this down. First thing we want to do is we want to change our orientation. So think about when we're normally strumming, what we're doing is we're coming across the strings in a very wide arc, right? Our finger comes across the strings, and right at the top of that arc is where we come through the strings. When I strum with a mute in mind, what I do is I sort of change my angle of attack. What I do is I kind of come more at like a 45-degree angle into the body of the ukulele. So see how this is a little bit more of a straight line? I come down across the strings with the intention of ending up kind of on the soundboard here. See, I come across, fingers go to the soundboard, and then the palm of my hand comes across the strings simultaneously as I strum. Now you can get a little bit of extra sound if you let your middle finger, ring finger, and pinky come across and kind of hit the soundboard. But really what you want is the sound of the strings just getting muted as you move down. A really great exercise for this is just alternating between a down strum and then a mute, right? So we mute on beats 2 and 4, and then we strum on beats 1 and 3. 2, 3 sounds like this. 1, mute, 3, mute, and 1, mute, and 3, mute. Now if we try to play eighth notes, what we'll do is we'll play, every sound in between except for the mute. So it sounds like 1 and mute, and 3 and mute, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So here I'm playing eighth notes. And remember, every rhythm is really just a combination of sounds while keeping your hand moving in this orientation. But if I wasn't touching the strings at all, do you see how I'm just keeping time? 2 and 3 and 4, and now I'm strumming until I get to 2, and I'm changing the sound by covering the strings on beats 2 and 4, right? And our rhythm really comes from this hand motion. If I play now a quarter note, and then there's our rhythm, my hand is still moving in that same 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Now, if I can just mute on beat 2, then I'll get the rhythm. It sounds like this. We go 1, mute, up, down. 1, mute, up, down. Now, don't be worried if the consistency of your mute is a little bit off. Remember, when you're thinking about this technique, you got to let go of a little bit of your perfection, right? It's not going to sound perfect every time. What you're really trying to do is get the technique to work, inconsistently. And then what you do is you repeat exercises like that, or repeat the rhythm until your execution becomes consistent. That's the problem is that at first, we don't even understand how to do it. And then we understand how to do it. And then we're doing it every once in a while. And then we actually get that execution to become consistent. That's really what muscle memory is, right? It's consistent execution that has the sound and has the quality that you're looking for. So make sure that we're getting lots of repetition with this exercise. Quarter notes, 1, mute, 3, mute, or 1 and mute, and 3 and mute. Lots of consistent exercises. Lots of consistent exposure to that exercise, and you'll see the quality of your mute, the specific sound that you're looking for will become more and more consistent. All right, now let's take it to our chords, and then we'll take it to the composition, right? We'll go D first, 2, 3, whole rotation, 1, mute, up, A, mute, up, F sharp. And now remember, in our composition, our arrangement, what we've got is half a measure. So it basically comes after the mute. We go 1, mute, up, and that's where we'll be switching, right? Starting on a D, 2, 3, 4. We go D, mute, to the A. Let's try that again. D, mute to the A. Beautiful. D, mute to the A. And then we go F sharp, mute to the E7. Right? 2, 3, 4. D, mute, A, F sharp, mute to E7. Mute to the A, F sharp, and mute to the E7. For some people, this might actually feel easier because you're putting kind of a division between the two chords instead of trying to change in the middle of your rhythm. D, A, F sharp, and then E7. We'll pick it up just a little. We've got a fast car. F sharp, and then E7, and then finish on D. Actually, let's finish on A. Nicely done. Okay, so that's really the main differences in the tune, right? That consistent rhythmic addition that we have that you can put into the verse. And remember, this is just, this is not the way to play if you're an intermediate player. Think of it more as a challenge if you want to, especially if the rhythm is feeling really consistent, if you're feeling locked in. So this can just be extra. This can be something that you can push yourself to do. Try throwing in this right hand mute. For the introduction, the intro riff, really you can think about this. Sorry, for the entire riff, you can think about each of those elements is something that you can add, like one at a time. Maybe you add, the F sharp minor, pushing up into 1, 2, 1, and then maybe you want to work on this E chord, right? And you can put this E chord anywhere in the tune. This one too, 4, 4, 0, 2. Like you could put it into your verse. You could go, you've got a fast car, right? My hands are way more used to going into that chord because I kind of forced myself to view that version of E as one I wanted to start to incorporate, start to get into my vocabulary. So if any of these challenges you want to take on, make sure that you're putting it into consistent practice, small exposures, and in a really focused way. Okay, that's it. I wanted to say a special thank you to all of you for joining me for Uke Lab for the month of September. Just a few logistical things. Remember, next week, October 1st, we won't be having class, and we'll start our first class for October on the 8th. So we'll be meeting the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd, and the 29th. 8, 15, 22, 29 for the month of October. And yeah. Thanks again. Oh yeah, next month we are working on the tune. We're working on the tune Mad World, which is a really, really beautiful song. Tears for Fears were the original did the original, and we're really kind of concentrating on this Gary Jules version, which was in the Donnie Darko soundtrack. It's just a really beautiful hunting tune, and yeah, I actually translated it into its original key this time around. So yeah, we'll have some surprises there, but yeah, a lot of finger picking. So we'll see you next month. Remember, week off for the 1st, and then we'll meet together for our first October week on the 8th. All right. Thanks again. Have a good one, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.